Good afternoon, Radha ma'am.
Good afternoon, Himani. Can you just allow me to share screen? So let me just.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, you can share screen now.
So just let me know when you are able to see, because with Zoom, I'm always a bit.
Ma'am, I can see the screen and full screen now.
And can you see me also or not?
Yes, I can see you also. Hello? Yeah, ma'am, I can see you. I can see the screen too.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to make my
Achha.
screen bigger. Just a sec. Otherwise, anyway, you can see me and you can see the screen, right?
Yes, in the absolutely perfectly.
All right, great.
We have people joining us, so we'll wait for a little while and then we'll begin the session. May I request all the Madhuban team members to please raise their hands? Bindu Aji Leonela Di Cadros. I don't know you from Madhuban for sure. Nitu ma'am, do you have a question? Yeah, Jyotika ma'am, can I help you with anything? You've raised your hand. Ms. Jyotika Singh? You're not connected via audio. All right, so it's 4:01 by my watch. So I think we are in a good time to start. And I see a lot of people have joined in. Is anybody from the same school as Ms. Jyotika Singh? She's having trouble connecting to audio. If you can just convey the message or help her out. Is there anybody from the same school or any of my team members, if you know Ms. Jyotika Singh? Any of my team members, if you know Ms. Jyotika Singh?
Ma'am, what kind of problem is she facing?
Ma'am, she's not connected to the audio. So she needs to click on the audio, connect audio button from her device. That's why she can't listen to us. Probably that's why she's raising her hand.
Ma'am, when you log into Zoom, you get two options. One, connect over
Yes,
computer audio or computer over Wi-Fi audio.
correct,
And if
correct.
you are through the mobile, like I'm on the mobile right now, so it again comes join via Wi-Fi or join
Correct.
via device. So if you click on that, automatically you get your connection.
Yes, ma'am, I know that. If you can help Jyotika, ma'am, understand that. If you can call her.
Ma'am, I can't see her. I can't see her at all on because maybe because I'm on the mobile, so I'm not able to.
No, if you do, you have a
see
contact number
her.
otherwise? Do you have a
No,
contact
ma'am.
number?
I don't know. I don't know her at all.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Anyways, so okay, I've sent a message to her. Hopefully, she should be able to listen. Okay. So on this note, hi and good evening once again, everybody, to this session and yet another session of grammar with Ms. Anuradha Murthy on the Commune. And I'm very happy and I hope everybody had a great festival time, great Diwali, and the Chhat Puja is yet to come, Diwali, Bhaiya Dooj, Dasera. So this month we've kind of had lesser number of sessions and because of the festivals, but we'll resume from next month onwards. And this is our session on grammar. Given all your feedbacks that all of you shared on the Google form, the kinds of sentences. So I had a discussion with Anuradha ma'am. She said that most of the problems and queries were around active and passive voice and kinds of sentences. So the progression would be that we'll begin with kinds of sentences and eventually we'll go on to active and passive voice. So with all the feedbacks we've received from all of you, I think we kind of know our course of action or a course of sessions for at least the next 2 to 3 sessions. So we'll keep it in that line. In case you have any other feedback, you can share it on the chat box. All the people who are the co-host are Madhuban team members, and they'll be more than happy to help you. All the people who are admin in the Commune group, they are again the Madhuban members, Madhuban team members. You can reach out to any one of us on WhatsApp, on a personal window, on the group chat, and otherwise. Now, from the last couple of times, and even on the Google review form, a lot of you shared that we hope and we wish that the certificates system is more organized. And trust me, nobody will agree to that more than me with you that yes, as much as it is a little painful for you, it's equally painful for me when I have to keep on doing it again. So for the coming month also, when we were planning sessions and we wanted more often, so somebody told me कि मैम एक हफ्ता तो सिर्फ certificates दोबारा भेजने में लगता है या missing certificates देने में लगता है. So what we are going to do this time is, it's just an experiment. It's an experiment. I hope it works. If it doesn't, we'll try something else next time. So this time what I'm going to do is, the moment we end this session today, so by the evening, I'll try by the evening, I'll get a report, your automatic attendance from Zoom. So I'm going to take that automatic attendance from Zoom and I'm going to share it on the WhatsApp group. Okay, so that way all of you would know, and even we would know. Normally I do not download, but this time I'll download and I'll share it with everybody. So we'll know who has joined for how long. And for a certificate, I would want all of you should attend the session at least a minimum of 30 minutes. That is like a third of the session. So all the participants who've attended for 30 minutes, I'll highlight them and I'll say attended. Once, if at all, you don't receive your certificates after sending the feedback, we'll cross-refer. हम लोग वापस जाके attendance sheet से check करके आपको certificate भेज देंगे. And again, I'll request you, the group is a public platform. You don't want to share your details on a public platform, right? So it's a request. Whatever query you have, every time I share a number with you, a customer care kind of a number with you. And again, I tell you that all the group member admins in the group, please send us a personal message. When you send your details in a group, I cannot make sure your details are safe, right? Because that's a public platform. So I'll request any question, any doubts, any queries you have, please send us on a personal window. You've not received your certificate, you have issues with the feedback form, anything on the lines. But this time, I will share the participant attendance sheet which should have a minimum attendance of 30 minutes to be eligible for a certificate. And that's an automatic sheet. I don't have to do anything in it. I don't customize it. I don't edit it. It's an automatic sheet that is provided to me by Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to trust that and I'm going to go by that. Is everybody in agreement? Can I get a few thumbs up to say that, yes, it sounds like a plan? No, nobody agrees with me? Can I get a few thumbs up saying, oh, I'm getting a couple of. Okay, I'm seeing at the wrong place. All right, so we'll keep it to that. Perfect. So I think I hope and I'm trying to make it more streamlined this time. So let's hope it goes a little better and both of us are more comfortable after this. So with this note, I would like to cordially invite my resource person, Ms. Anuradha Murthy, to take over and begin with the session so that we don't lose a lot of time on our learning journey. And also I would mute everybody. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to put it up on the chat box. And otherwise, let's park it. We'll take it up all towards the end of the session. Perfect. And I'm just muting everybody just to make sure that there's no disturbance from anyone's background. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anuradha ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. And seasons.
Anuradha ma'am, you'll have to unmute once again.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Himani. And season's greetings to everybody. One after one, there are so many reasons for us to celebrate. That's wonderful. So I hope each and every function that comes, you enjoy it to the fullest. In the middle of all that, you have a session from me. I hope you enjoy that also to the fullest. So as Himani was telling you, when I looked at the feedback, many of you wanted active passive. Now, everything is connected in grammar. So for us to really understand how to do active passive or direct indirect, we have to understand about the kinds of sentences. And for us to understand kinds of sentences, we have to first look at the form. What exactly are these 4 kinds of sentences? You might be thinking in your mind, you know, we do it so often, everything is available online. Why am I attending this session to be told the same thing again? But what I hope to do during this session is go a little beyond what is told to us in grammar books or in what is available on the net, and deal with the kinds of small things that googlies that the students throw on us in their when we are teaching in the classroom, or when they answer papers, and we don't know, okay, now am I supposed to consider this an assertive sentence? Is it an imperative sentence? What exactly is it? Because somehow it falls in the middle of both of them. Those kind of things is what I hope to address in this session. So like Himani said, what I am going to do will everything is connected. So for the next 2 or 3 sessions, I hope all of you will be with me. Today, I'm going to be doing the form of the kinds of sentences. What is the basis? What is the nature of each of the kind of sentence? And then next time, in the next session, I hope to do the usage, that is transformation between the kinds of sentences. Then I'll go on to direct and indirect speech with the different kinds of sentences, and then active and passive with the different kinds of sentences. So as you see, everything is connected one after the other. So I hope you will, be with me throughout. Okay, I'm assuming that all of you can see the PPT on screen. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. All right, thank you. So when I say form over here, I use these terms, form and usage. So form means how do you identify what kind of sentence it is, or how do you frame the kind of sentence. So for that, we have to understand what is the nature of each of these sentences. Okay. So very basic, which everybody, if you have spent even a few years with English language, you know this, that the different kinds of sentences are assertive or declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. Now, within assertive, you have the affirmative and negative. Then within interrogative, we have three different kinds of questions that we form. The kinds of sentence that the questions that we form with the WH words, the kinds of sentences, the questions that we form with to be and to have, forms. Then you have with to do and other verbs. And then you have this marriage between the interrogative and the negative. And this is an area, the interrogative is an area where many children and adults also make mistakes while speaking and while writing. And then you have the imperative, which has commands and requests in it. And then you have the exclamatory. Okay, so these are the absolute basic kinds of sentences. Now let's delve a little deeper into each of these kinds of sentences and look at the nature of it and look at what we have to do or what we have to take care of when we are teaching in the class. So first of all, as I told, up to grade 4, only the form should be taught. Please do not teach transformation of sentences. So up to grade 4, you're basically just teaching the child how to identify the affirmative, negative, interrogative, imperative, exclamatory, how to frame, how to write it properly, how to frame a sentence, only that much. We are not teaching transformation. So certain things, especially if you are a teacher who sometimes teaches in the primary, sometimes teaches in the higher classes, for such teachers, you have to be very careful to see what exactly am I doing in the primary, what exactly am I doing in the secondary. So for example, in grade 3 or grade 4, where you are talking about affirmative and negative sentences, and you give the sentence, I am happy, to the students, in grade 3 and grade 4, you are just showing them, you're just teaching them how to make a negative sentence. So for that, over there, the answer will be, I am not happy. Because all you're doing is how to teach, where to put that word not. That's what we are teaching the children. Whereas the same thing when we are teaching in the higher classes, where we are talking about transformation of sentences, if you say, I am happy, I am not happy, you give it as a wrong. Because there you are looking at transforming the sentence without changing the meaning. Okay, so we have to be very clear what we are teaching the child. And that, therefore, that will dictate how we teach in the class, what we teach in the class, how you're going to frame the questions in the worksheets or in the question paper. So let us look actually what an assertive sentence should be. Assertive means it makes a statement. That can be affirmative or negative. Please note that when we are speaking also in the class, the opposite of negative in as far as grammar is concerned is not a positive statement. It is an affirmative statement. Okay, because what happens is in math we keep on positive and negative, positive and negative. So automatically in English we start saying this is a positive sentence and this is a negative sentence. No, there is no such thing as a positive sentence. It is an affirmative sentence. The word positive is used only in degrees of comparison, where you have the positive degree of comparison, the comparative and the superlative. So if you say the positive sentence, then imagine the confusion in the mind of the child, where you are saying positive degree of comparison is used in a negative, in a sentence which begins with negative. Okay, all right. I don't know whether you understand now. In positive degree, what you do, you say, for example, Hari is the tallest boy in the class. Okay, so what is the positive degree of that? No other boy in the class is as tall as Hari. So as tall as becomes the positive degree, but you are beginning the sentence with no other. So that's a negative sentence. So in a negative sentence, you have the positive degree. Okay, so when you are teaching the kinds of sentences, make it a point that your vocabulary, you never ever say positive sentence. You use the word affirmative sentence. Okay, then What else is necessary in an assertive sentence, whether it is affirmative or negative? It should have a subject and a predicate. If the subject is not there, it is not an assertive sentence. For example, suppose the sentence is something like, Tanuj close the door, or Tanuj closes the door. Okay, Tanuj closes the door. What is the subject there? Tanuj. What does he do? Closes the door. So you have a subject and a predicate. But suppose you just say, close the door. There is no subject over there. So it's not an assertive sentence. Okay, so for an assertive sentence, you must have a subject over there, and the predicate, the verb, must agree with the subject. Then you have an assertive sentence. Okay, and of course, it ends with a full stop. As Himani had told, it is very difficult for me to keep speaking and not interacting, but we cannot afford to have the interaction right now. So if any questions, any queries arise in your mind while I am speaking, please keep jotting down. My last 15 minutes or so, I will leave it free for you to ask questions. Okay. Now, negative sentences. We need to spend a lot of time to teach. Why? Because if you look at the sentence, Ram kicked the ball, that is an affirmative sentence. How do you make the negative? Ram did not kick the ball. For us at this stage, it's obvious. Of course, that is the negative sentence. But for the child to arrive at that, because he says, okay, Ram kicked the ball, Ram did not kick the ball. Why should it be did not kick? Why should it not be did not kicked? And that's why most of the time, isn't it, when the children speak to you, they say, I did not did it. I did not brought my book. I did not did my homework. So often you hear this, so often, because this thing is not dinned into their mind. That when you take the negative of the sentence, what do? The negative of the sentence has been made by what? Adding the past tense of the verb to do and the original form of the verb that is given. Okay. Now let us look at the different tenses. Ram kicks the ball. Okay. Ram kicks the ball. What will be the negative of that? Ram does not kick the ball. Correct? Past tense, Ram kicked the ball. Ram did not kick the ball. So the present or past is taken, absorbed by the verb to do. Right? How was it? Ram kicks the ball. Ram does not. So the verb does is in the present tense. Kick is the original form, to kick. Kick is in the original form. Ram does not kick the ball. You make the sentence past. Ram kicked the ball. Ram did not. Remaining is kick the ball. Now let's look at the future. Ram will kick the ball. How will you make that into negative? To do doesn't come here at all. Ram will not kick the ball. So see, here itself, there is so much of discrepancy. How do you expect the child to know this or to use the sentences correctly if we don't bring it to the notice of the child? Especially those children who come from families where they don't speak English on a regular basis. It does not automatically come. You have to teach this. Of course, a lot of the language is learned by the way we ourselves speak. But as I have often pointed out to whichever teachers that I interact with, the English teachers are speaking correct English, that too hopefully in most schools, right? How can you expect the chemistry teacher or physics teacher or art teacher or PE teacher to speak correct English? But our child is exposed to English spoken by all these people. So if you have to, therefore in India, you have to do a lot of teaching of grammar, where ideally grammar is supposed to be caught and not taught. But that's under ideal conditions, where everybody is speaking correct English, then the child absorbs. Right now, the child is absorbing, but he is absorbing a whole lot of wrong English, right? Now, therefore, before you go on to anything else, you have to give many, many exercises to the child with sentences where you're using the past, present, and future. I would advise that first you do past and present, past and present, past and present, and then bring in future, because future is a little different from the past and the present. As I said, Ram will kick the ball. There, the word to do does not come at all. You say Ram will not kick the ball. Okay. Now let's come to interrogative sentences. What do we do when we take a sentence and make it into a question? We invert the subject and the verb. Again, this seems very obvious to us, but I will show you how there are a lot of problems that we inadvertently, mistakes that we make. So this is a table. Now this, if you want to make it into an interrogative sentence, remember, I am not transforming the sentence. I am just making this assertive sentence into an interrogative. And so I will say, is this a table? So this is, I'm interchanging the position of the verb and the subject. Okay. Don't you in class also say, whose pencil this is? Instead of whose pencil is this? Or so many times we put a question just because we, as teachers, we know that we have to ask the question and the child has to write the answer. Therefore, the question mark has to be there at the end. And so describe the market that Sibia went to, question mark. But describe this market that Sibia went to is a statement. So it has to end with a full stop. Okay. Mention whose pencil this is. Not mention whose pencil is this. Small things like this, we keep making mistakes. Questions using various forms of to be and to have. You are busy. Are you busy? She has a dog. Has she a dog? Now your student in the class will say, ma'am, can we not say, does she have a dog? But I mean, you accept it. It is correct. I'm not saying it is wrong. But at this juncture, what are we doing? We are just showing the child how to invert. Because does she have a dog? For that statement, what are we doing? We are taking the verb to do, keeping it in the present tense. Does she, taking the original form of to have, does she have a dog? How much we are doing to make it into a question. So right now, what you tell them, if they tell you, because there are many children who are very, very good with English. So they'll tell you, can we not say this? Yes, you can. But right now we are doing it in this way. So keep it focused. Okay. I do my homework in the evening. What do you do in the evening? Over here, what is happening? Do you do? The first do is you're absorbing the present tense. And then the second do is the original form of to do. To give you an example, instead of I do my homework, I will just change that sentence to Ram does his homework in the evening. Ram does his homework in the evening. How do you make that? What does Ram do in the evening? Not what does Ram does in the evening, which the child will write. What does Ram do in the evening? Or when does Ram do his homework? Again, you take the past tense. I did my homework in the evening. What did you do? Because that is the original form. What did you do in the evening? When did you do your homework? Okay, this goes on. But now look at the small pitfalls that if we are not careful, we will fall into. Let's take this sentence. Beena gives milk to the cat. What does Beena give to the cat? That's fine. Now look at this question. Who gives milk to the cat? Does the word do come here at all? It doesn't come. So what do you as a teacher do? Avoid at this juncture the question form of who completely. Because the child is going to point out, where is does, ma'am, in this? Or who does, I don't know, who does Beena give? I can't even make a sentence with who and does in the sentence, because it is who gives milk. The word does not come at all into the sentence. So this is what I mean by saying that we have to be careful. It's one thing to know the concept, to know how to teach, but it's also very, very important for us to know what not to teach at a particular time, where not to go, what example not to give in the class, because if you give those examples, there is confusion. Okay, now there are three forms of interrogation, which I had told you before itself. So we have the WH questions. Who teaches you English? What is there in your bag, etc., etc. Just ask the children. They'll give you 101 different questions to use these different words. You can just write those words on the board. Tell them, give me questions. Okay. And if your children are students, children who have got English speaking parents at home, you will not have a problem. If you have got children who are first time learners of English, then you will have to guide them through this. And how do you guide them? You have to give them certain kind of a framework. That is, who, when you use the word who, when you ask question about people, what, when you ask about things, why, ask the reason, where, asks about the place. Give them all these. How, ask the manner. Now, the children can get confused about this. Therefore, what do you do? Since you as the child, right from the time he has entered the school, he is answering questions. So you give them a question. Okay, who is sitting in the last bench? You will say, Harish. Okay, so that is the name of a person. What have you got inside your bag? Books. So that is a thing. How do you go back home? I go by bus. The manner. Why are you talking in the class? Ma'am, because you are boring. They won't dare to tell you this, but this can be a reason. But what I'm trying to say is, for all the questions, ask if they are not getting it. If they don't know when to use who, when to use when to use where, these question words, then you teach them by asking questions connected with the school, with the classroom situation, with the day-to-day situations, and get them to give you the answer. Then you tell them, look, when the answer is about a person, you ask who. When the answer is about a thing, you ask what. Things like that. Of course, in the English language, nothing is 100% this only. There are always exceptions. But at this point, when you are introducing the topic, this is more than enough for us to teach the child. Now, to teach the students how to frame questions using question words, give them the answers, ask them to frame the question. Ram kicked the ball. Who kicked the ball? Then you get the answer, Ram kicked the ball. So you give a whole lot of answers and then ask them to frame the question. Okay. Then now a problem comes. What did Ram kick? what happens over here? Ram kicked the ball. That is in the past tense. What did? The word did absorbs the past tense. Ram kick, that is the original form. So we are back again to how to form the, when we taught about the negative. And that's why I say that we have to have it graded. You tell them, see, remember when we did the negative sentence, how we did it? We follow the same rule over here. What did Ram do, etc., etc. So first you go with the simple kind of, you first have to do a lot of homework before you go and teach, in the sense that when I am teaching WH words, I will not just throw all the WH words at the children. First, I will teach these where the rest of the sentence does not have to change. Typically, it is what? Who. Typically, when you use the word who, you do not change the rest of the sentence. You try it at home, try different kinds of questions with different WH words, and you see how the rest of the sentence changes when you change the WH word. Okay. Now we come to another problem. Interrogative, negative, where both are there. Okay. So what you have to do, again, please go in a graded manner. I did my homework. That is your affirmative sentence. First, make it into negative. I did not do my homework. Then go back to I did my homework. How will you make it into the interrogative? Change I did to did I. Then did I do my homework? Now, let's look at both of these and put both of them together. Why did I go to the first, not do my homework? Because if you look at the next, where don't many of us also say this, why I did not do my homework? Why you did not do your homework? Instead of why did you not do your homework? Okay. Ravi will go to the party. Ravi will not go to the party. Will Ravi go to the party? Why will Ravi not go to the party? When you go step by step, you yourself will know why this is correct and why that is wrong. Sometimes teachers send me some sentences and say, why is this not correct? Can we accept this as correct? Okay, why is this incorrect? I know it is incorrect, but I don't know why it is incorrect. Many of us do that. We have a general something in our mind, some grammar structure is there stuck in our mind, and we know that this thing is wrong. But when you have to explain to the child why it is wrong, we don't know why it is wrong. It's just wrong. We just say, now just go back to your place. It's wrong. Don't argue with me. But if you understand the basic framing of a question, of a negative, of an interrogative negative, when you know how we have arrived at that, it will become easier for you to convince your student why he is wrong or why you have given him wrong. Okay. Now, what is an imperative? Sentences that order or request. Like I told you, teachers, these are all things that you already know. But I have looked at some of the sentences where I myself was, when I'm teaching in the class, some student asks me, and then for a minute I'm thinking, yeah, what is this? For example, I'll give it the example that I have given over here is the example that some student gave me. And for a minute, I was a little baffled. Why is it wrong? So sit down is an order, clear. There is no subject in the sentence. So it's an order. Please sit down. It's a request. Again, there is no subject. Very clear. Then the student pipes up, ma'am, what about Shruti? Sit down. There is a subject over there. Does that become an assertive sentence? I know it is an imperative because I know still an order is being given, but how do I explain to the child? Okay, First of all, you cannot write such a sentence without that comma. Shruti, sit down. You don't say Shruti, sit down without the comma. So when you are correcting, and if a child writes something like that, when you give wrong, you know why you are given wrong. Because an imperative sentence, if there is some word before the verb, if there's a person before the verb, there has to be a comma. So and so, comma, children, please keep quiet. So that children, please keep quiet without the comma is an incorrect sentence. Okay. If I have to make this into an assertive, what would I do? Shruti sits down. Then it becomes an assertive sentence. Why? Because in an assertive sentence, the subject and the verb have to agree. This, we know that this is what an assertive sentence is. Okay, so the subject and the verb have to agree. When they agree, it becomes an assertive sentence. When they do not agree, and there's a comma there, it is still an imperative. I hope I am clear to everybody about this. Later, like I said, I'm almost reaching the end of my time.
Teachers, if we could just get a quick thumbs up so we know that everybody is clear and we don't have much doubts. Just a quick. Okay, I have about 11, 17. Okay. Chat box or otherwise. Let's see some quick thumbs up. Perfect, perfect. Great. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah. Priyanka, ma'am, I'll take up your question towards the end. I've noted down your name. We'll take up that question.
So another thing is where tone is concerned. Now, for example, just now, Himani was, I mean, if we tell you, can you please mute yourself? Okay. Now, when I say, can you please mute yourself? I am, by the tone, you know that I'm making a request. Can you please mute yourself? Right? But as far as grammar is concerned, it is an interrogative sentence. It is not an imperative. It is not a request. Because, and when you're explaining this to the children, you will say that, look, you are going to be writing it. How do I know what is the tone? So the minute you say, can you, when you say you can, you have inverted, can you, automatically it becomes an interrogative sentence. Can you mute yourself? Can you, or like I've written over here, with all of us in class, we say, will you all keep quiet? Now, we are not asking the child. No child will get up and say, no, ma'am, I will not keep quiet. Right? So it is not a question that we are asking according to the tone that we're using. In conversation, when we say, will you all keep quiet, it is an order. But where grammar is concerned, it is an interrogative sentence. It is not an imperative sentence. So if you ask, for example, you have told the children, make an imperative sentence with quiet, something like that. And you are expecting the child to say, keep quiet. And the child has written, will you keep quiet? Now you have the reason why you are giving the child some a wrong for that. Okay. Similarly, can you please lend me your pen? It's a request. When I'm speaking, can you please lend me your pen? But when you're talking about grammar, it is a question. So it will end with a question mark, not a full stop. All right. Exclamatory sentence, it expresses strong emotion. So what is the form? You don't sometimes have a verb within an exclamatory sentence. For example, what a pretty flower. So you don't know whether it is present tense, past tense, future tense, whatever. When there is a verb, please note the subject and the verb are not inverted. What a pretty flower, this is. Why making it a point? Nowadays, especially, there's a lot of errors that are coming in this kind of sentence, because in the children read a lot of books. If they read books, they are reading books that are American books. Okay, they are watching serials that are American. English now has become American, synonymous with American. Very, very rarely do children read still nowadays books that are written by British authors, or serials that are brought out by BBC or the British, any of the British companies. Not that I have anything against American or British, they are just different kinds. But in India, if I am teaching English, I am supposed to be teaching British English. Okay. Now, what happens is in the American way of speaking, they say, what a pretty flower is this? Okay. And that's an exclamation. However, where we are talking about grammar, where we are talking about teaching, what a pretty flower is this is not an exclamatory sentence at all. It is an interrogative. Is this? You have inverted. The minute you have inverted it, it becomes a question. So we cannot say, what a pretty flower is this? It's wrong English. It's not an exclamatory sentence. Okay, so this is what basically I wanted to cover. Like I said, most of it you already know, but I just wanted to point out certain things that as teachers, we come across certain situations where we don't know how to answer or what to answer. And therefore, I always like, whenever I'm faced with a question like this, where you are not very sure, I like to go back to the origin, to the basic, to the form, what actually it is. And then I get the answer whether it is right or wrong. And that's what I will be focusing on in my grammar sessions with you. So I have come to the end of my session, and it's 4:45, 4:44. So the forum is open for you all to ask questions.
Teachers, may I please request Miss Priyanka Dashora to unmute and ask her questions. Do you have a question? Priyanka ma'am, you can unmute. Miss Priyanka Dashora. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Actually, I raised my hand. I want to show thumb. That's why there is no
Okay.
question.
Okay, fair enough. Miss Vedika Singh. Okay, I'll unmute you also. Miss Vedika Singh. Miss Vedika, you can unmute yourself. Okay. Yamini ma'am, yeah, I got your unmute yourself.
Good evening, ma'am, and thank you for a very interesting session, Arundhati ma'am. My simple question is, what about whom? When we did what, why, when, where, how?
Yeah. Ha.
The WH
Okay.
questions.
Yes, yes.
I had
So
this about whom because many of my children asked me, for who there is no do, does, nothing.
okay. Now
So they want to know
going to
why
keep-
for whom.
right.
we
Right.
use
I
do
was
or
going to
does.
keep the word whom for a little later, but since you've asked me, what happens with whom is that we use the word whom for those answers which will come in the predicate of the sentence. For example, Ram went with Sita to the forest. Okay. Suppose that is the sentence. Ram went with Sita to the forest. Who went with Sita to the forest? Ram. Because that is coming before the word went. It is the subject of the sentence. We say whom. Who. Who went with Sita to the forest? That is who. Ram went with whom to the forest? Okay. Or with whom did Ram go to the forest? The answer comes, Ram went with Sita. So the word Sita comes in the predicate of the sentence. When the answer is in the predicate of the sentence, you use the word or question word, whatever, whom. When the answer is in the subject of the sentence, then your question is who. So usually we use the word whom with a preposition, with whom, by whom, for whom, those kind of things.
Okay. And there was one question that I had come across in one of the question papers. Who does Tagore refer to in the poem? Who followed by does. Now here does is used as a main verb, if I'm not mistaken.
No, give me the sentence again. Who does?
The question was, who does Tagore refer to in the poem?
Okay. So the main verb, isn't it refer?
Yes, but then why does, ma'am? Because normally we don't use does with who, is what I'm trying to ask.
No. There is no such thing.
There's
Because
no such thing. Okay.
No. Because if your answer is Tagore refers to etc. etc.
So this was correct. This was correct because I
Yes.
gave the child correct, but
It is correct.
somebody else told the child, no, this is wrong. Your teacher is teaching you wrong. So I was
His teacher is teaching him correct.
I was totally at sea about it. So I said, let me clarify since the topic came up today. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Tita, ma'am. Thank you, Yamini, ma'am. I've received some more questions on the chat box. If anybody would like to unmute and ask, please raise your hand. I'll give you the option to unmute. And there's a question, ma'am, in the meanwhile from Ms. Priyanka Avasthi. She says, if you could explain the difference between a command and an order in an imperative sentence.
There is no difference actually as far as imperative is, whether it's a command or an order, both are the same. There is no difference as such.
So thank you. Vajanti has a question.
I mean, sorry, just a minute. Out of the context of imperative sentences, there is a slight difference in the meaning of the word command and order. That is out of the context. But if within the context of imperative, whether it is command or order, it is the same thing.
So Priyanka ma'am, if you have any follow-up question, again, you could raise your hand. I'll take it up from there. Or you can put up in the chat box. Meanwhile, Vajanti,
Yeah, hi. So I have a follow-up question. So as a kid, we were told, or what we used to follow was to figure out whether who or whom fits into a situation. So he or she answers who, and him or her answers whom. So
Correct.
is that the...
Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
A sort of
I'll tell you why. I mean, as a kid, this is an easy way, okay? But let's look at the reasoning behind it. Okay, why is it that he or she is who and him or her is whom? Why? Because where does the word him come in a sentence? In the predicate of the sentence, right? So since it comes in the predicate, you say whom. It's the same thing, but your teacher has given you an easy way to remember. That's all.
Yeah. So a lot of us can use it. Thank you. Let's see, there's a immediate question. Come on. Okay. Now there's another question from Ms. Rajshri MP. Is there any tips for identifying imperative sentences?
Yeah. So as I was telling you, how do you identify? Actually, your question is a very nice question because it is easy for a child to understand what is assertive, interrogative, exclamatory, because you look at the end punctuation, acha, I know. But then they get confused in imperative and assertive. So one easy way is imperative. There is no subject. It begins with a verb. Sit down, stand up, give me the book, go to school, come here. The sentence will begin with a verb. Then it is an imperative. And actually, when I was teaching this, only the child came up with, what about Shruti, come here, or what, Shruti, sit down. What about that? And that's how it started me thinking.
Okay, perfect. Rashmi ma'am, I hope it is clear. Yeah, Yamini ma'am has another question. Yes, Yamini ma'am, please unmute yourself.
When I was in school, our English teachers told us that in imperative sentences, the subject you is always understood. So you are
Understood.
supposed to write it in brackets. Is that correct?
That comes, that comes for active passive.
For active passive. No,
Yeah,
but this was
because
teaching us imperative sentences, we said. The kinds of sentences.
no, actually, I wouldn't say that you should tell the child to put that word you in the bracket, because then when they will always then put the word you, and that's not how you write a sentence. Okay, but you put it, you take you for granted, because in the passive you have to say by you.
By you for granted.
Yeah.
And there is one more doubt that I had. You spoke about that will, the question. My voice went for a second or two. So I missed out on that will, the order of the will part of the sentence.
So what I was saying is that when you are, I think you're talking about interrogative, right?
Yes, interrogative. The last.
Yeah, okay. Even negative, interrogative, whatever. Huh? The rule is the same. Yeah. So suppose it is Ram does his homework. Okay. If that is the sentence, no, let me take something. Ram, or why every time Ram?
Somehow only Ram comes to mind.
I know. For me, Hari, through all these years, Hari has been the tallest in his class through so many years. Okay, but anyway, so let's say Sham swims in the pool. Okay, if that is a sentence, how do you make that into the negative? Sham does not swim in the pool, isn't it? So the present tense of swims is absorbed by does, and you have the original form of the verb swim, right? Sham does not swim in the pool. Similarly for question, does Sham swim in the pool? Now what happens when it comes to the future tense? Sham will not swim, Sham will swim in the pool. There the word does not come only. You say Sham will not swim in the pool. There is no form of to do that comes in the future tense. That was the point that I was making over there.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yamini ma'am, may I please request you to share your school details with me on the personal chat window?
Ma'am, I'll send it to you.
On my WhatsApp, either anyways.
You share
Anyways, maybe a little later.
I'm a retired teacher, ma'am, but I work with Arihant Academy, a coaching.
That's fine. That's fine. I just want to know where you're from. That's all right. Retired or not, you're such an active teacher, and I'm always on the lookout for active teachers in the commune session, like I mentioned at the beginning of the sessions. Okay, ma'am, there's another question. Can we, from Ms. Noreen Khan, ma'am, she's asking, can we say whom answers the object?
Yes, it's in the second, the latter part of the question, of the sentence.
You can say that.
It's the object, yes.
Then
again, I'm a little worried about using object or this thing, because then the question will be, is it direct object, indirect object? So I just say in the second part of the sentence. That's all.
Instead of saying it in an object or a subject kind of reference. Ma'am, there's a follow-up question from Vidila ma'am. Vidila Kale ma'am is asking that what is the difference between an order and a command? So you said there's a slight difference outside the context of imperative or sentences. So what is that difference?
Okay. So what happens is, I mean, this is my way of understanding. Okay, maybe if you look up in the dictionary, there is no such thing, but the way that when I have looked at the usage generally, in my mind, how I have differentiated is that you command when you are the person in authority in an organization, but order can be anything. For example, the captain commands the soldiers. Okay. Of course, you can argue that the captain ordered the soldier, yes. But generally, for example, if I'm telling all of you, mute yourselves, then I am giving an order, okay? Mrs. Murthy ordered everyone to mute themselves, not commanded. Okay, I can command if I am in the same kind of an organization as the other people whom I am commanding.
Ma'am, is it that command is kind of asking and order is telling? No.
Yes, and command comes with
Position.
authority over a limited number of people. Order does not, I mean, order is just authority over everybody.
So there's
Again,
a message. Sorry. Please, ma'am, please.
This is just my way of differentiating, my way of understanding based on how we have been using the word command and order.
Ma'am, there's a message from Madhu, ma'am. There's so many interesting insights to these simple topics. We always knew the right thing, but didn't know how to explain it to the students.
Yes.
So I think that's
Thank you.
all the commune is all about, to making things, teaching and learning, and easier and more interesting in every possible way. So does anybody have any other or further questions? You can please raise your hand. Those were the couple of questions I could pick up from the chat box. Anyone else has any further questions? You can raise your hand. Any inputs or any feedback that you're sharing? Okay, there's something that I would like to again remind everybody. So we are more active now on our commune, and there are other groups like that. So if anybody is applying anything, I tell this to you in all the sessions, if you're applying any of the concepts learned during the commune, any activity or even anything creative, do share it with us. Do share it with us, and rest assured, we will appreciate your efforts and we'll do it to your school. I mean, it will go via your school, so that even your own community, your teachers, your colleagues, your management realizes that you are on a learning journey. So unless you would request it otherwise, we're okay with that also. So, but the whole idea of the commune when we began was that reaching out to you, connecting with you, getting you some interesting tips and, strategies, teaching methods, teaching ideas, which you can use in the class. So from my idea, from my perspective, I would want to know that, yes, it is working. You guys are actually using it in the classroom, or you are connecting and doing something so different and new. That is totally a new concept. So, I mean, if anybody would like to share anything now with us, you've tried and you've tried something different, something interesting, something new as per the education policy or as per the NCF guidelines or anything like that, I would be very happy to hear now as well. This is a community. Let us share things. Let us share ideas. That's how all of us grow.
I just want to put in a reminder here that in the next session, I will be taking up kinds of sentences, but now I will be talking about transformation. Okay, so it will be connected with this. So all the teachers who are here, please do join in the next session also to know the progression.
Okay, ma'am, there's Yamini ma'am's again raised her hand. There's a question from Shweta Gupta. Ma'am is asking, do we have to teach interrogative sentence also till grade 4 or 5?
Yes. Because we remember that we are teaching the minute we finish negative and then interrogative, we have to teach interrogative negative because we are using it, right? And up to 4th standard, you're giving them the tools, right? And in the 5th, then from 5th upwards, you are teaching them how to use these tools that you have given. So you have the interrogative negative is also one of the tools that you have to give them, because they will be using it in direct, indirect, active, passive, and all those, they will be using these kinds of sentences.
Shweta ma'am, I hope the question's been answered. Yamini ma'am, yes.
Ma'am, can we say that the kinds of sentences, that is assertive, interrogative, exclamatory, imperative, can we say that they are based on the usage or the purpose for which we are using?
Right. As you're telling, as against simple, compound, and complex sentences.
Yes, because
yes. Correct.
A simple, compound, and complex is based on structure, whereas
right.
this
is on usage. Correct.
We can tell them that in simple terms.
But I would advise you not to tell the students about this right now. When you're coming to simple, compound, complex, at that time you say this, that, This is based on the structure, this is based on usage, etc. In the beginning, before you are talking about simple compound, don't tell them about, you know, structure and this and that. Unnecessarily, it complicates the matter.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Amini ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Radha ma'am, we've received some very good feedback from the teachers. I'll share some of the screenshots with you after a while once we download the chat. And teachers are very happy. Teachers, actually, that's very, you know, it gives us a lot of confidence, means we are going on the right track. And looking forward to interacting with you like that. Any other question, query, doubt, inputs?
I can see, I think there's Nitya Kalyani. I thought she has raised her hand.
Miss Nitya Kalyani, would you like me to unmute Miss Mamta Mishra? Yes, ma'am. Mamta ma'am, you can unmute yourself. Nithya ma'am is not connected on audio. Probably that is why. Mamta ma'am, you have a question or suggestion? Okay, I think that's by mistake. All right. Meanwhile, anybody else? Next session on clauses and phrases, please.
On phrase and clause is another quicksand where all of us get completely bogged down. Yes, I will do, but like I said, let me first take this how to transform, and then how to use the kind, like when we are teaching. Why I'm particular about this is that I find that when we as teachers, when we are teaching direct and indirect or active passive, we are not teaching them based on the different kinds of sentence. We are just dealing with it as a complete umbrella topic, and we assume that the child will be able to handle the different kinds of sentences. And that is not the correct way. Therefore, I want to first do kinds of sentences and then show you how it is to be used in direct and indirect, active, passive. And yes, I will do phrases and clauses. Don't worry about that. I definitely will do that.
Perfect. And there was a question, somebody raised their hands. I just unmuted the lady. Priyanka ma'am, was that you? Somebody just raised their hand. I just unmuted them. I suddenly forgot the name. Okay, anyways, if you can just raise your hand again. I'm so sorry. Probably you unmuted again and I've forgotten completely.
Okay, sorry, ma'am.
Yeah,
can you
Mamta.
listen to me? Mamta Mishra is here.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for this wonderful session. We learned a lot. And one thing I want to say that next time in your session, I want to learn something more about tenses so that I can give students something extraordinary knowledge.
Ma'am, actually, I have done on tenses earlier in my first session. So maybe you can.
I'll share the video again, ma'am, with you.
Okay, ma'am.
Just
Thanks a
tell
lot.
me, drop me a personal message on WhatsApp. I'll send you the video again.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, Roshni ma'am. Roshni ma'am, I had unmuted you. Now I remember. Roshni Swami. Yes.
Very good evening, ma'am.
Very good evening.
How are you?
I'm
Both
fine.
of us are good, I guess.
Yeah, very good evening, ma'am. I just only wanted to say thank you so much for making us learn these wonderful things. And so many doubts were there in our mind. But yes, today we are all clear with the doubts and all. And God bless you. It was really a wonderful session over here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Babita ma'am, you want to add something?
Good evening, ma'am. Actually, I'm sorry I'm not keeping my video on. I'm still in my holiday mood, so I'm sitting in my house. And
No problem.
this thing. Thank you very much. It was a really wonderful session. Though there are certain things that there is a chance that I may, like while teaching, I may still forget. Like there were some things that ma'am has said that we have to like try to explain to the students that why this thing should be there or not there. Though of course I am teaching in a primary section, section. So yes, besides that, there was one more thing is that ma'am, I particularly wanted that wish you could take one class of pronunciations. That is like a very important thing that, certain things, how to teach, how we can also, like at this age also we can learn, pronunciations are very important. How to, how to teach them to the students, especially at a younger age.
Actually pronunciations in some of the schools that I have had sessions with, when we talk about pronunciation, I go back to ABCD. Okay, so it will be one full 1 hour session just on pronunciation, and I will take you through from how to say A, B, C, D, etc. And I will have probably, you will have to repeat with me or whatever. We'll have to work that out, because the pronunciation is a major problem in India. But having said that, I always say that if we make mistakes in pronunciation, we should not feel ashamed or embarrassed. We should learn the correct pronunciation, but we should not feel embarrassed at the mistakes that we're making. My simple thing is, go and ask any Englishman to speak one sentence in Hindi, and let's see whether he's able to pronounce any one of the words, Hindi words. If he, so when he is not able to, why should we feel ashamed? So yes, we will have a session on pronunciation. I don't know when, but we will have. However, when we go to it, I hope that the participants will not feel, well, if I say that this is wrong or that is not the way it should be done, you don't feel, bad if I say something that the way that you're saying is wrong. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Ma'am, on pronunciation, I remember when I was a child, my teacher did. The pronunciation of pronunciation is not pronunciation, but the pronunciation of pronunciation. We still remember that. I mean, these are just interesting things, interesting ways that teachers have taught us. And teachers, all of you, I'm sure, have your own things. Namata ma'am, if you can unmute yourself. Namata Sinha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. My question was that, like in grade 4, should we teach the child structure, that is how to make an interrogative sentence? Should a structure be taught to the student in grade 4?
Yes, only up to there. That's it. How to make, when there is a sentence, how do you make it into a question?
So should we specify that structure there in the grammar book also? That I wanted to ask.
As in, I didn't get what is the question that
like
you're asking.
Are you going to the market? So like would be it's as a helping verb plus something else. In that way, are we just supposed to give the structure?
No, not. I mean, I generally like to avoid words like helping word or this or that. Okay. But something like, you will take a sentence, you are going to the market. How do you make that into a question? Are you? So you are taking you and are, and you are interchanging position. That way, structure, yes. But not like parsing it, not saying this is your, helping word, this is your participle, this is your subject, not that way.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was really a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Vajanti, you have a question or an input?
Yes. Actually, what I really liked and I enjoyed myself today was because this did not seem like a heavy duty grammar session. And you gave so many examples, like rather than sort of telling us this is what you need to do, you said, okay, so if you're faced with this situation, this is the response. So that made it so much better, because it just felt like a real life scenario and the examples were like amazing. So thank you so much. If I could just learn to teach like that or interact like that, that would be such a blessing.
Thank you. That reminds me of when I was just writing the grammar books, and I was teaching in the class, and the children, my students, knew that I was writing, and they were telling me, ma'am, you are writing books about this? It is so boring. How are you writing about this? That way. So that's what actually made me this thing that, because we look at grammar as something that is boring, something that is difficult, when actually all the time you're using grammar.
Right, right.
You know,
right.
I mean, sorry for taking a little more time, but I'll tell you this. You know, children were asking me, ma'am, why do we use punctuation? In fact, I have shared this particular anecdote with many of the teachers in my workshops. So they are saying, what is the point of punctuations, ma'am? We have these WhatsApp messages, this, that, you don't use punctuations at all. So I give them 2 sentences. Let's eat grandpa and let's eat comma grandpa. And I tell that, you know, that grandpa's life, poor fellow, is dependent on that 1 comma that is there, you know. So that kind of thing, you know. So we try to take things that are funny and bring it in the class and say, look, you know, it sounds so funny, like what dead slow work in progress. So, so I say, you know, the government is actually saying it, dead slow work in progress. So things like that.
The English is a funny language.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shweta ma'am, I've been seeing your question on the chat, but now I know you've raised your hand. Yes, please, ma'am.
Ma'am, for senior students like classes 11th and 12th, generally students make mistakes in framing grammatically correct sentences. So how to teach them? Whether we have to start with small 1 or 2 line question answers, or first we have to teach tenses.
By the time they come to 11th standard, if they are making mistakes, then really it's a very, very, very difficult and uphill task for the teacher, because at the 11th standard level, you are also having a whole lot of literature that you need to teach the child. And by the time they come to 11th, they are not interested in English at all, because their whole focus is on becoming a doctor or becoming an engineer. And so they want to go for all those, they're going for extra classes. At that stage, what to do with children who are writing wrong English? I would just say that the teacher's job becomes a little more difficult, in the sense that you have to write the correct sentence and ask them to copy it. At this juncture, to sit down and explain, go back to the basics and explain why this sentence is like this, like that, and all that, I don't think it will work. I mean, practically, I feel it will not be possible. Ideally, yes, but then you will need the child to do 11th standard for 2 years before they go on. That is the thing.
Okay. Ma'am, there's a question from Lata ma'am. She's saying, do and did usage. There are a lot of errors. Any easy tips to teach how to avoid them?
Yeah, so for this, that's why I had told you that first you give them sentences where you will use words with do, and take it with the present tense first. Okay, so you give verbs which require do. All verbs except are and has require do or does. She's sitting on her chair. Where does she sit? She sits on her chair. That kind of a thing. So you give a whole lot of sentences, ask them, you start with present tense and keep on giving them the pattern. Once they have got the pattern of how to do, then you go to the past tense, that now, since it's a past, instead of does or do, you use the word did, and give them a whole lot. Then you mix it up. Okay, so in the primary section is a very important section of the school, and your job as a primary teacher is absolutely primary, because once they come to the secondary, if this base is not there, teachers find it very, very difficult. So that's why I always say that in the secondary, maybe the teacher requires more knowledge, but in the primary, the teacher has to be a very, very good teacher.
True. Shweta ma'am has a follow-up question on the 11th and 12th. She says, but ma'am, in the board exams, they have to write themselves.
Right. Therefore, I'm saying that what you will have to do is write out the correct sentence and get them to rewrite it. See, the children don't like to write, but you have to force. And I do it very, very often with my students who are weak. I in fact contact the parent and I say that, look, this is the thing. If you want your child to do well, I will give the word sentences. If you are finding it difficult to sit down and write for each child, I would suggest you can type it out, type out the correct answer, Get the child, write the question, write the answer, write the question, write the answer, write a lot. When they start writing and they are copying a lot, okay, a lot, yeah, you have to get them to copy for question answers especially. It doesn't work for compositions, but hopefully some of the correct usage over here will percolate to the composition, but it's an uphill task for composition. I don't have a quick fix for children who are very weak in English and they are in the 11th and 12th and you have to get them to write correct English. It is very, very difficult. It requires a lot of work from the part of the teacher.
Deepti ma'am, could you please unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. To tell you, it's really very interesting to relearn the things I'm enjoying like a student, of course. And yeah, ma'am, I do not have any question since Himani ma'am just, motivated us to share the experiences. I would like to share one of my experience. I'm teaching higher grades, 11th and 12th, even the 9th and 10th standard. And this is the, age group where they have learned everything actually. And for us, it becomes more challenging, like we cannot even assume that they know this. It is all over again, a journey where we have to start from grade 1. It's just like that for us. And we also have students whose English is actually really not good because they come from the non-English background, till 10 students who have come from Marathi or Hindi medium schools. So again, it's very challenging. Earlier, I'll tell you, ma'am, it was like either very boring for my students or for me to teach grammar. Either some of the students will be absent on the day when we'll take up the grammar topics, or it will be for me like, oh my God, today it's grammar class. But now, ma'am, I have used this interesting skill which you have taught, breathe in and breathe out, in my class before taking up grammar class. It was really interesting, especially for the tenses. So one problem which I also identified in these years, that they did not know how to form the sentences, and that actually acted as a hurdle in understanding tenses, then related the transformation of sentences. So I had to work on how to form a sentences, teaching them S plus V plus O. That was very boring for me. From here, it was really helpful for me. Now what I do is that exactly how you have taught, don't teach him in this structure like thing. I've really stopped using that chart. I've just hidden it somewhere. So I'm enjoying that. So now what I do, ma'am, when we are doing the writing skills in the class, like we have expansion of ideas, email writing and all that. So in between, I just keep asking them to identify any of these sentences, assertive sentences, negative sentences. So this is how they are very alert. Okay, ma'am is going to ask us to identify things. Then even identifying the verbs, nouns, then words with prefixes or suffixes. So this is really very interesting activity for me. And I'm now enjoying teaching grammar. So thank you so much, ma'am. These sessions are really helpful for me. And
Deepti, thank you. You made my day.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I
So
agree
this
with
is,
you, ma'am.
yeah. And I'm really, because I was so tense, ma'am. Whenever it was tenses, it was like, oh my God, this entire structure has to be taught, because all in the end, they would be confused again.
Yes.
Had been, again, being, where is used, like these problems were there obviously with them. But now it is very easy. And yeah, one more. I have also made the class very interactive. Like a child asks something in Hindi. So I allow him to ask it. Then I give him some time to convert it into English. Okay, if you have to ask in English, how will it be? So whatever sentence they are using in English, let it be simple. So I ask them, okay, identify this sentence. See, now you can use this in your conversation daily. So this is how I'm motivating, though it is slow, but then they will learn it. So thank you,
Perfect,
ma'am.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Ma'am, there's
over
a
to you,
question.
Mani ma'am.
Thank you so much, Deepti ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question from another Shweta ma'am. She's saying, when is had used twice in a sentence? She had no supper. When is that?
So again, when you have a query like this, you break it down. When do you use the word had before another verb, right? So I had, let's say I rang the bell. Let's take that sentence. How will you make that into the past perfect? I had rung the bell. So you're using the word had when you're using the past perfect tense. So now I had my dinner. Okay, I had my dinner. Now, how will you make the past perfect of this? I had my dinner. Okay, so whenever you are faced with this thing, you kind of substitute another word over there and see how does that sentence work. Now I will come back to my problem and then resolve it that way.
Perfect. There's one last question for the day. So when this session ended around 4:50, I was a little worried, but now I'm feeling I'll just take this last question. I realized ma'am knew that with sentences, there are a lot of, knick-knack queries that I'm sure the teachers face.
No,
Now,
Himani, what happens is when it is a offline kind of this thing, as I'm teaching, the teachers will keep asking me questions or the students keep asking. And this now what is happening is I'm going on teaching and I know that it's going on in the mind of the teachers. But what about this? But what about that? And so that's why I said I will keep a little time for all those. But what about?
And we are you getting whether it's been almost equivalent to the session. So the question was, how can we make an interesting way to teach direct and indirect speech?
So when we are doing direct and indirect, I will deal with that. But again, in the lower classes, it is, I mean, 5th standard, we generally introduce direct and indirect. You can, have role play in the class that there are two students, and then one student is reporting about what those two students are doing. Okay, so that way you tell that now to make it a little more interesting, you say, okay, you are my chamcha in the class. You are going to tell me what is happening. What are these two children saying? And those two are going on having conversation, keep coming and telling me that. So then this child is actually reporting to me what those two children are saying.
So automatically direct and indirect speech.
Yes.
Okay, request for a session on infinitives and participles. Ma'am, I think we'll end up doing all of them one by one in a coordinated fashion. We'll end up doing all of them. Don't worry, stay connected. We'll absolutely cover everything. Okay, so with this, do we still have some more questions? When in a sentence there are two had or have and had, which one is to be considered the tense?
The first one. So again, substitute the word had. Let's say instead of I had my dinner, I am saying I ate my dinner. Okay. How will I make that into the past perfect? I will say I had eaten my dinner. So had is the past perfect and eaten is the past participle. So when I say instead of eaten, I use the word had, what happens? The first had is a past perfect. The second had is the past participle. Always substitute some other word and then you will get your answer.
Perfect. I think teachers, that will be all. All for today. We've had a good round of questions. No, I have no issues. If you have a couple of more questions, I am good to go with that. Deepti ma'am is okay. It's a thumbs up. All right. So thank you so much, teachers, for joining in. I've shared the feedback link. I'll share it once again in the chat box. Please do fill in your feedback form. And here is the link. Cannot select the state. Now, so ma'am, wait for some time. Do it after this session. Save the link because it takes network issue. It takes a time loading all the states and all the schools. In case you're not able to find your school in the list, grammar jitna seekho utna kam hai. Correct, ma'am. You can learn it always. Pallavi ma'am is so right there. Grammar is always something you'll find something new, and especially with Anuradha ma'am, it's a different ballgame altogether. I've never enjoyed grammar that much as I enjoy in this session. I want to, every time I have something planned that while the session is going on, I want to do this, but then I can't get my own ears off this. I'm like, yes, it's an endless learning. So true, so true. So today's star performers, I'll say, will be Yamini Kundar ma'am and Deepti Agwane ma'am, who shared her experience and the breathe in, breathe out exercise, which she's shared. And I'm looking for some more stars. You can please share it on the WhatsApp group also. We'll be more than happy to take it up from there and reach out to you for appreciation. Thank you so much. And please fill in the feedback form. Make sure you fill in the feedback form correct with your correct name, spellings, everything. And somebody has requested that if you could have the sessions. Okay, I'll share it on the WhatsApp also. Then Leonella Kadros ma'am, I will share it. I'm so sorry that there are some people who even spell mine wrong. I wanted to ask, does everybody want the session to be at 5 o'clock hereafter? Because it's going to be winters, the days will be shorter. So somebody suggested 5. All those who are in agreement with 5, just write 5 on the chat box. Just write 5. Okay. 5, 5, 4, 5, 4, 4. No, 4 is okay. Okay, 5, 5, 5. Okay. I'll still share another feedback. Both are okay. Okay. So we'll take a feedback, and whatever is the majority, I'll take it on WhatsApp. And about the next date of the session as well. So I'll take this feedback on the WhatsApp. Can we get a recording? Absolutely. I'll share it on WhatsApp. Give me till Monday. Perfect. So thank you so much, Anuradha ma'am. I think it was a very, very interactive session. And we've done 90 minutes of the session. WhatsApp number, please. I will, if you are Pallavi ma'am on the group, Avantika, could you please share the WhatsApp number on the chat box? The broadcast number on the chat box? I don't remember it offhand. Yeah, please. So with this, thank you so much, Anuradha ma'am, for the wonderful session. I'm sure everybody is super happy. We've got super positive feedbacks today, and we're looking forward to the next session. I'll get in touch with you with the dates and the availability. Perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, teachers. Enjoy a good cup of tea, coffee with some snacks. The number has been shared on WhatsApp. For any queries, please reach out to us on this number. Ritu ma'am, I'm sharing the feedback form link once again. I'll stay online. Everybody else, you can leave. I'll stay online for some time if you have any questions for me. But rest, if you don't have any questions, you can leave. I'll be here for another 2 minutes. 5:30, I'll also go. So if anybody has any questions, anyone needs a feedback form again, learn ma'am number, no matter it's 5. You only want to learn. I'm so happy somebody telling me this, that I just want to learn, maybe 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You know, it's been a while somebody's told me that. So the link is there, the WhatsApp number is there. Please feel free to connect with us anytime. We'll be more than happy to help. And please remember, do not share your common contact details on WhatsApp group. You can share it with us individually. We want your details to stay safe. It's can we have longer sessions? Yamini ma'am, we can stay here forever. But 90 minutes for an online session usually is considered long. I have feedback saying, could it be a shorter session? Thank you so much, Poona ma'am. It's a privilege for us. I attended but not get link for the certificate. I'll share the certificate link with you. Don't worry, ma'am. It's, you know, the certificates are sent on your school name. School name, Kavita ma'am, is not showing. Just wait for some time, and there's an option of typing in your school name. You say the name is not there, school does not exist. Click on that. You'll be able to just scroll down. You'll be able to write your own school name. Thank you so much. Another 1 minute for any questions, any doubts, any queries. I think 30 seconds. All right. Thank you so much. Tea time for me also. Bye-bye.
Thank you.